Gwenpool walked through the crowded streets, the neon lights flickering above like distant stars in a sky she could not name, her heart beating fast with a mixture of fear and excitement as she clutched the old tablet tightly in her hands, the screen glowing with an image that seemed impossible, showing a live-action trailer with ElleFanning and Keanu Reeves moving through a world she had never seen before, a place filled with strange towers and floating bridges, colors that pulsed like living things, and a sense of danger that made her skin tingle. She paused for a moment, wondering if the image was a trick or a dream, but before she could think, the air in front of her shimmered and twisted, and a portal erupted from the ground, rippling with energy that reached out like invisible fingers, pulling her toward it, and a figure stepped out, tall, calm, and composed, warning her in a voice that carried both authority and warmth that the portal was unstable and that if she did not act quickly, her city and many others could vanish into nothing. Gwenpool felt a thrill she could not ignore, a mix of curiosity, fear, and courage that made her pulse race. And she realized that ignoring this call was impossible because something deep inside told her this moment was her chance to become more than she had ever imagined, to face worlds beyond her understanding and to test limits she had never known. She stepped forward, following the figure, and the streets around them seemed to bend and twist in ways that defied reason, buildings stretching upward and sideways, reflections dancing on surfaces that had no origin, strange creatures scuttling in shadows and disappearing before she could focus on them, machines with blinking lights and shifting parts that moved as if alive, and the air hummed with power that made her teeth buzz and her hair lift. Each step forward felt heavier than the last, but Gwenpool pressed on, her mind racing with thoughts of what she could find, what dangers waited, and how she could survive long enough to understand the portal's secret. A low rumble echoed from deep within the city, shaking the ground beneath her feet and causing loose debris to spin and fall, and the guide urged her to move faster, pointing to a bridge of light stretching across a void that seemed endless, pulsing with every color imaginable, and Gwenpool felt the fear coil in her stomach, like a living creature warning her that one misstep could end everything. As they ran, shapes shifted in the corners of her vision, faces without eyes, hands reaching out from walls, whispers that carried secrets she could not yet comprehend, and a surge of wind pushed against her as if the world itself resisted her presence. But she refused to stop, leaping across gaps, ducking under beams of light, and using her agility and quick thinking to navigate the impossible terrain, her mind working faster than her body as she anticipated movements, calculated risks, and reacted instinctively to threats she could barely perceive. The portal behind them pulsed violently, threatening to close at any moment, and Gwenpool could feel the tension in the air like a living pulse, each beat reminding her that failure was not an option, that every choice she made could alter reality in ways she could not predict. And yet she felt alive, more alive than ever, as if the universe itself had opened a door to show her what she could become. They reached a large platform hovering above an endless void, the edges glowing with energy that seemed to breathe, and Gwenpool could see the city ahead, glowing towers rising from the ground in impossible formations, bridges twisting through the air like ribbons, and figures moving in patterns that made no sense yet carried a strange rhythm, signaling a world governed by rules she did not yet understand. The guide turned to her and nodded, signaling that the next step would be dangerous, that what lay ahead would challenge every skill, every thought, every ounce of courage she possessed. But Gwenpool smiled, feeling the fire of adventure ignite in her chest, and stepped forward without hesitation, leaping into the unknown as the portal behind them flickered, threatened to collapse, and yet remained open just long enough to carry them to a place where light and shadow danced in ways that seemed impossible. And as she landed on solid ground, Gwenpool knew that the true journey had only begun, that every step from here on would test her in ways she could not yet imagine, and that the world she thought she knew had already changed forever, leaving her with nothing but courage, curiosity, and a growing sense of destiny that pulled her forward, into the glowing city, into challenges that would test her mind, body, and heart, and into an adventure that would reveal not only the secrets of the portal, but also the strength hidden within her, ready to face dangers, mysteries, and choices that no one else could face, all while the world watched, silently waiting for Gwenpool to take her first step into legend. Gwenpool stepped into the glowing city, her eyes wide as towers stretched into the sky, twisting in ways that made no sense yet carried a strange harmony, and bridges of light shimmered between them, curving and looping like ribbons in the wind, while figures moved along paths that seemed to float in midair, their forms strange and elegant, and the hum of energy filled every corner, vibrating in her chest and reminding her that reality itself was alive, breathing and watching, testing her with every step she took. The guide moved beside her, calm and precise, explaining that the city existed between dimensions, a place where thought and action shaped the world, where a single miscalculation could cause chaos that spread into every connected reality. And Gwenpool felt the weight of this truth settle over her like a heavy cloud, yet it ignited determination, a fire that told her she could rise to the challenge. Shadows flickered at the edges of her vision, shapes shifting faster than she could track, and she realized these were not enemies yet, but warnings, echoes of danger that would follow her every move, testing reflexes, strategy, and courage. Suddenly a wave of energy erupted from a distant tower, rippling through the city like a stone tossed into water, bending streets and floating platforms, forcing Gwenpool to leap and twist through the air, narrowly avoiding collapsing walkways, the guide calling out paths to safety while her heart raced with exhilaration and fear. Each step brought them closer to the core of the city, a massive structure glowing with a soft white light, pulsing as though it had a heartbeat. And Gwenpool understood that this was the source of the dimensional instability, the center where all threads of reality converged and where she would need to act to prevent disaster. Machines with glowing eyes appeared, shifting and moving with intelligence, blocking paths and testing every instinct she had. And Gwenpool used quick thinking, agility, and unexpected creativity to manipulate their movement, redirecting energy beams and avoiding traps that could tear flesh or crush her completely, all while the guide channeled streams of dimensional energy, weaving them into protective barriers that shimmered with power, fragile yet resilient, fragile yet necessary. The air thickened with tension, the hum of energy growing louder, pulsing in harmony with Gwenpool's own heartbeat, and each breath felt heavy electric like she was drawing power. From the very fabric of the world, her mind racing, calculating, feeling every ripple in space, and time as if it were a puzzle she needed to solve before chaos could escape. At the final approach, a massive platform of glowing crystal stretched before her, and Gwenpool knew that the instability had formed a living presence here, a force that could perceive her choices, test her courage, and punish mistakes instantly, yet she felt no fear, only focus, the kind that came from knowing that she had no choice but to act and that every moment now could define the survival of countless worlds. She stepped forward, the ground vibrating beneath her feet, shadows twisting around her, energy spiraling in chaotic patterns, and Gwenpool extended her hand, feeling the pulse of the dimension flow into her, shaping her will, guiding her thoughts, and merging her creativity with the raw power of the city itself, while the guide moved in synchronization, a calm counterbalance, steadying the currents of energy around them, allowing Gwenpool to channel her understanding into action. Sparks of light shot across the platform, forming bridges, barriers, and traps, but Gwenpool danced between them, timing each movement perfectly, her mind and body working as one, aware of every beat, every pulse, every possible consequence, while the portal behind them shimmered, threatening to collapse at any moment, a reminder that failure would leave them trapped between realities, lost forever. Finally, reaching the core, Gwenpool focused all her energy, visualizing the city in balance, directing her actions with clarity and precision, turning instability into harmony, chaos into rhythm until the pulse of energy reached a crescendo, exploding outward in waves of color and light that washed over towers, bridges and floating streets, calming the vibrations, repairing tears, restoring order, and sending every shadow and rogue machine back into dormancy. Exhausted but victorious, Gwenpool turned to the guide, who nodded in approval, signaling that the dimension had stabilized, and the portal shimmered brightly, offering a way back to her world. As she stepped through, the city's glow faded into memory. Yet a new image appeared on her tablet, another trailer, another adventure hinted at, reminding her that reality was far bigger than she had known, that courage, creativity, and determination could shape worlds, and that the journey had only begun, leaving Gwenpool smiling, her heart racing with anticipation, ready to face whatever awaited next in any dimension, in any time, confident that every challenge could be met and every mystery could be solved with a mind unafraid and a spirit unbroken.